Welcome to Tulsa Titans, highlighting our local business leaders who are making a difference. Today on the show, we have Marie Greenlee, Mortgage Loan Officer for Open Mortgage right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thanks, Marie. Well, why don't you just start off by telling us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a loan officer with Open Mortgage. I love what I do. I get to meet new people every day. I get to geek out with numbers, and I'm expected to do so. And I really get to help guide decisions on the largest purchase of my family's lives. So I absolutely love what I do. This is my end game for sure. Some more. So I grew up in Cleveland, Oklahoma, where I met and married my high school sweetheart. We are still happily, most days, married, which is great. A few months after we got married, I joined the U.S. Air Force and was stationed at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Fun fact about that base, at the time, it was the only Air Force base without planes. Instead, we had 200 ICBMs that we monitored and played war games with. So that was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that is when I was doing my job in the Air Force, it was fun to play those war games, right? So we had all the missiles. So I knew where they were pointed and all of those things. It was fun to play the war games. But as I got older, I look back on that and I thought, if I ever actually had to do my job, we would all be done.
Right. Well, and there's a little bit difference between simulation and reality, right? And as you get older and that frontal cortex develops, you go, wow, there's a lot of fear there and a lot of reality.
For sure. Yeah. So when we moved back home after the Air Force, I finished my finance degree at OSU Tulsa. And then I became a financial analyst, where my love of Excel began. And that has continued very much until today. I've actually built and sold an Excel spreadsheet, which was pretty cool. But yeah, from then until now, we've had 4 children who we've always homeschooled, except for the first couple of years for my oldest. And as a matter of fact, 3 years ago, I helped build and start a nonprofit called Toast. And so that is for expanding STEM opportunities within the homeschool community, specifically within robotics. So we have 2 really great robotics teams, and the mentors that we have on that team are just amazing. They're just amazing. So yeah. And some more recent news, and this hasn't been told to anyone, so you're the first.
Exciting.
I was recently elected as the orientation committee chair for the Home Builders Association of Tulsa. So I'm very excited about that.
That's exciting. Yeah. What all will that entail exactly?
So I'm not exactly sure on all of the details, but a big part of that is just orientation. So making all of those new members to the HBA feel plugged in and welcomed, and really get them able to join all of the different activities that we have within the HBA. So that starts in January. I'm very excited about that.
Wonderful. You're going to be perfect for that.
Thank you. I'll try.
You're welcome. Well, as we're, wearing many hats, and you've already mentioned you're a mother and you're doing many things, are there some areas that you're pulling back from and maybe giving less time, energy, and attention to, and maybe some areas that you're consuming a little more of in different areas as well?
For sure. I'm definitely consuming less politics, but I think that's been going on for a few years.
Yeah.
And really just all the negative talk. I don't have time for it. I don't have time, and I don't have just the space for it. It just brings me down, and I'm a naturally happy person. So I want to stay there. Something else that I've been consuming less of is food in general.
Holidays are coming. Holidays are coming.
That is true. Well, it's not on purpose. I just get so consumed in my work that I forget to eat. And then by 2 o'clock, I'm shaking and wondering why. And it's because I haven't eaten today.
Right. Right. You could have set a timer for stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I really should. That's a good idea. I should do that.
Just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
And
But
what about areas that you're really kind of devoting more attention to? Really saying, okay, this is where I want to place my energy. This is where I need to be. What does that look like for you?
for sure, for sure. So one thing that I've been with two things that I've been consuming more of is coffee and alcohol, but not too much. It's
Right?
the truth though. But really just industry knowledge. Being a loan officer, our industry is changing every single day, and especially in this market right now, we have new guidelines and new regulations come down, programs starting, programs ending. So industry knowledge, 100%, I'm consuming more of, and I think that we all are just across the board as an industry. Um, but personally, one thing that I am consuming more of is, especially in regards to friends and family, is a video game called Overcooked.
What is this? I haven't heard of this. Tell me about it.
It's ridiculous, but it's so much fun. So you have it is a cooperative game, so you're not against anyone, you are against the game. So my children and I will often hop on this game and accomplish the task, whatever the meal is that needs to be made. And so if you were an outsider looking in and you saw us all screaming at each other to cook the rice, you would think that we were nuts. But it's something that we can do together. And I love it. It's a lot
I,
of fun.
I mean, I'm going to have to look this up because with a family, with a lot of children and teenagers at home too, we're always looking for ways to make the family feel like a team because it
Yeah,
does take everybody to get things working and keep things going, but also to remind each other that we're all on the same side and we're all going through this together. And so, even something as mind numbing as a game that you're cooking rice gives you the opportunity to just kind of gather together. I like that. And we're going to check it out.
absolutely. And the great thing about it is each round is only 5 or 6 minutes. So you can play a couple and be done and over. It's great.
This is so much better than some of the other games that I won't mention that take hours and hours, and I just don't have the attention span for.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Well, you're a busy woman, so you are juggling many things. So you've got to have some habits that you've developed in your day, in your life in general, in your week maybe, that you feel make you more successful. What are some of those habits that you have?
For sure. So I try not to ever go to sleep with dishes in my sink. I try because I wake up the next morning and it's just done, and so I can function. I feel better. It's great. But within my business, Google Tasks is my best friend,
Okay.
and what I absolutely love about that is that I am on the go all of the time. Right? I work out of my home office, and then I'm on the go all of the time. And so Google Task is mobile,
Mhm.
and it's my reminder. It's my brain. If I did not have that, I don't know what would happen and the amount of balls I would drop, but it would definitely happen. Another daily habit that I find helps me to be effective is that daily connection with my husband.
Mhm.
Um, and it really does. So it's that daily check in. We talk often throughout the day, but especially in the evenings, we talk for at least an hour about our day, about things that are going on with the kids, about each of our what's going on in our workday, but just that time to reconnect with my husband because family is the most important thing. And if your family life isn't in check and isn't doing well, I think that spills over to all areas of your life. And so we make that a priority to connect daily.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it is something that you have to be intentional about. It's pretty easy to get sucked in here or there. And there are always going to be those times when your children are running in and they need some attention right then. And you get to cut things short or have to cut things short rather. But overall, if we're intentional about that time, I think it makes a great impact. And
For
we've
sure.
got to have balance. We've got to have that balance.
For
So,
sure.
in our industry, in my industry in particular, in a lot of industries, social media has played a huge part of consulting and selling and education and things like that. And I really don't even have to ask this question of you because I already know that it's true. I follow you on social media, so I know that you're always offering free advice, tips, and things like that. But how do you feel that affects your sales? I mean, how does your social presence affect your sales in the long term?
Um, in the long term, it's huge. So it's huge. So back in the day, if you wanted to advertise your business or your services, you were going to pay for a commercial. But now, and over the past, I don't know, 10 to 15 years, that's just not the case. You can do that, but especially as a single entrepreneur, right? And even though I work for Open Mortgage, I represent Open Mortgage, I am definitely an entrepreneur. But so here's the thing, there's 74% of our population is on social media, and we just can't ignore that. So if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, he says all the time, post, 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 it's free. And being a loan officer, you are your own brand. And really, with any sales, you are your own brand. So to think otherwise is really foolish. But social media allows us to put out there who we are, and people work with and they extend offers to who they like and know and trust. And social media allows us to do that on a very wide scale. So it very much significantly impacts my business.
Wonderful. And you do it well. So just keep doing what you're doing. I
Thank
agree with the trust factor. People, they they purchase, they use consultants that they, like you said, know and trust and like. And it makes it a lot easier when they're not just hearing your voice over the phone or maybe getting an email, something like that. So keep doing what you're doing. Now, we wish that all of our deals would just turn over really quickly, and sometimes they do, but that's not always the case. So how do you feel about playing that long game? Is that something that you enjoy? Is it a dance for you? Is it something that you also find challenge with? um, how do you feel about playing the long game?
I think it's necessary to have that mindset that any position in sales is a long game. Every single day you are planting seeds, and
Mhm.
those seeds might be fruitful in a day, they might be fruitful in a month or a year, um, but definitely planting those seeds. And so I heard something that said, if you decide to join sales or if you decide to start your own business or be an entrepreneur at all, give it 2 years. Give it everything you have for 2 years. And then at the end of that 2 years, you can make your decision. Does this work for me or does this not work for me? But it's very, very important to play the long game in sales and keep that in mind that you are every day you're planting seeds and they will come around. You just have to be consistent.
Yeah, it sounds like you're also saying, you have to really set reasonable expectations for yourself as well. Reasonable expectations are everything. So, um, you know, well, let me ask you this because you've been doing this a while. Okay, you're new, but you're on the fast track. So, if you were somebody that was brand new, just starting out as a loan officer, in a very tough market as it is right now, what advice would you have for those individuals?
I think my first bit of advice would be to give it 2 years.
Yeah.
um, for sure. My second bit of advice is really to understand that there's a difference in a job and a career. And I think that no matter what you do, there is that difference between a job and a career. If you treat it as a job, it will be a job and it
Mhm.
may or may not serve you. But if you treat it as a career in any position that you're in, um, it's going to make a big impact in how you do. So I also think that what determines a successful salesperson or a successful loan officer is your attitude. Being a loan officer is one of the greatest careers out there. And unless you start out as a at a bank, there's no base salary. You are essentially an entrepreneur. And if you know that going into it, and if you have a servant's heart and a great attitude, self-motivated, entrepreneurial spirit, understand that it takes time. Going back to that 2 years, maybe not that long, but it takes time. And at the very least, okay, maybe the biggest piece of advice, to have at least 6 months of expenses saved up in your bank account, because it may
Mm,
take that long.
that's
But
great
know
advice.
that it's so incredibly rewarding.
I love that because I think, a lot of times people will say, okay, I'm going to jump, I'm going to take this risk, but it's without planning.
Hmm.
And, if we plan for success, we plan for success. It doesn't just happen. It's not something that happens overnight. And so you have to really sit down, almost with a budget. And I don't even mean numbers exactly, but with the budget of, okay, what is this going to take me time wise? What is this going to cost me? And what does that look like? Really sit down and take a good look at it. And once you've got that and you still want to move forward, makes it a lot easier to take those leaps and bounds, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this. I know this about you as well, that you're a big reader. And I know that a lot of our listeners love to read also. So I was hoping that you could share some of your favorite books with us.
So I have a couple. Um, my first is Amplify Your Influence by Renee Rodriguez. I'm not quite finished with that one, but it is an excellent, excellent book, especially in regards to social selling, right? And just building that trust. It's amazing. But the other book that I absolutely love, especially in sales, is the book Go for No by Richard Fenton and Andrea Waltz. That book really changes your mindset of what your goal is in sales, realizing that the word no isn't as scary as you think. Um, but then also keeping in mind that you have no control over the actions of others, but you definitely have control over what you do. So, yes is the destination, no is how you get there and fail faster. That's the main theme of the book, and it's amazing.
Well, you have to get through the no's to get to the yeses. You have to. Everyone, you have to realize that not everyone is the perfect target for what it is that you do at that moment. And so
Yes,
understanding that also makes it a lot easier. I need to look that up. We all have I think salespeople like to believe they don't mind the word no, but I think deep down it's still a no at the end of the day. And we all know that we're going to get way more of those than we're going to get yeses. So yes, you have to be okay with hearing no, but you do have to remind yourself what that means. It's you're just moving on. It
for
gets it
sure.
gets that out of the way. This person does not need my help right now. I am moving on to somebody who does.
Yeah. And the great
Okay.
thing about that book is that it really changes your mindset. So instead of the goal being your yes, the goal is 20 no's today. And here's the thing, those yeses are going to fall in, but it changes your mindset. So if my goal is 20 no's and I have 3 yeses, but I only have 17 no's, I need 3 more no's. And so I keep going. And then I can hit my goal. Whether I hit a yes or not, I've done what I need to do to accomplish my ultimate goal. So
Mindset, positivity, very important in sales and consulting all day long. All day
100%.
long. Well, Marie, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Sure. Phone or email. Both of those work. My phone number is 918-519-9467. Or email me. So it's Marie Greenlee at openmortgage.com or Marie Greenlee at gmail.com. That's MarieGreenly.
Fantastic. Marie Greenlee, mortgage loan officer for Open Mortgage. So glad to have you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.